Hey guys, DTM here. Some of you guys know me as Dan is DTM on Twitter, or DTM on Xbox, DTM 3000 on PlayStation Network. Today I just wanted to kind of make an impromptu video. I really didn't have this planned or anything. I just decided to do it. Um, Jason Shreier from Kotaku posted a little bit of a controversial thing today on Twitter. And I kind of wanted to talk about that and how his comments didn't really make sense to me. I also want to get out there. I'm a huge fan of Jason Schreier, and he always breaks like some big news on new games and such. And so I just want to get that out of the way. That I'm actually a huge fan of Jason's, but for some reason he made these comments. I can see why he made the comments, but at the same time, they don't really fall in line with reality. But anyways, let's look at the first thing that he said on Twitter. He says, "Past 2 years have really put an end to any PS4 versus Xbox One debate. Not really a fair fight anymore. Scorpio needs to do something totally new." First thing I have a bit of a problem with here. There isn't really a debate for PS4 versus Xbox One. A lot of people enjoy both consoles. Yeah, everyone knows PS4 is outselling Xbox One 2-1, near the maybe even close to 3-1, but that's irrelevant. You don't compare success against competition unless it really makes sense. To give you an example, PlayStation 3 was extremely outsold by PlayStation 2 in the same time span. And I understand PlayStation 2 was a much bigger console at the time, but you have to compare between generations of consoles. The Xbox One is outselling the Xbox 360 by a significant margin in the same time same time span that both were launched. So for you to say that it's not really a fair fight anymore isn't really accurate, because Xbox is still doing well. It's just PlayStation is doing extremely well. And coming off of PlayStation 3, that didn't start strong. It ended strong for sure. It didn't start end strong, or it didn't start strong though, is what I'm saying. And the PS4 is absolutely killing it. The Xbox One is doing well. They aren't killing it by any means, but they are outselling the Xbox 360, which was Microsoft's most popular console by far. Obviously, their only other one was the original Xbox, but either way, you have to compare to what they have previously released. You can't really compare Sony to Microsoft because Sony has been in the game much longer. But I understand why he feels the need to compare. Yes, PlayStation 4 is extremely outselling the Xbox One, and if you want to say that it puts an end to that debate, then that's fine, but Xbox One's still doing well. And I don't want to come off as like a fanboy here. I'm not. I'm not the type that's going to put like a Scorpio symbol in my name on Twitter. I see a bunch of Xbox fanboys that do that, and to me, a lot of the people that do that I've seen have been very toxic to the community. They just want to hate on the other systems. I don't want anyone to just hate on the other systems. I want everyone to enjoy games. That's the whole point of games, is to enjoy games. Let's stop hating on all the other consoles. This is why I wanted to make this video. Why are we criticizing each other's consoles? That's absurd. I love Halo, I love Gears, I love Forza, I love Recore, I love all these games on Xbox, so why must we hate on something that other people love? No one, I'll give you a great example. I don't like Bloodborne, I don't like Dark Souls, I don't like that kind of game. I'm not going to sit here and say there's no games on PlayStation because I don't like Bloodborne. I mean, that's another debate anyways. So Jason's next comment he makes is even more curious to me, because their next comment is Jason's next comment is Microsoft clearly can't compete with Sony on exclusives. They should take the living room PC approach with Scorpio, succeed where Valve failed. Okay, a couple problems with this. For one, to say Microsoft clearly can't compete with Sony on exclusives is pretty absurd. As if we're talking about AAA exclusives, which is the type of game most people pick up a system for. Most people aren't going to pick up a system to buy an exclusive indie game or something like that. They're going to buy it for an exclusive AAA game like Uncharted 4 or like Halo 5 Guardians. So my first problem with this is Microsoft has had. I just don't understand this when people say this, because Microsoft has had arguably more AAA successful releases than Sony has this generation. I mean, just last year we had Gears 4, Forza Horizon 3, Recore. Recore didn't do really well critically, but it did decent. And Gears 4 was received pretty well. And Forza Horizon 3 was received extremely well. So I don't really understand that. Last fall from Sony, we had what? We had The Last Guardian. That's it as far as I'm aware. The Last Guardian was literally it for AAA exclusive games last year. I don't understand his comment saying Microsoft can't compete with Sony on exclusives. That just baffles me, because last year alone there were far more exclusives coming from Microsoft. And then was last year Quantum Break in the beginning of the year? I believe so. In the first part of the year they had Quantum Break. I love Quantum Break. It was kind of mixed reviews. It was I think it was in the high 70s on Metacritic, something like that. But I don't understand him saying that. But the previous year we had Halo 5, we had Gears Ultimate, we had Forza 6. Microsoft makes good games. I don't understand this. And give you a great example, Halo Wars 2 just released. Halo Wars 2 just released is averaging 80 on Metacritic. That's not bad at all. The original Halo Wars was at 81 on Metacritic when all was said and done. That's about what I expected. That's about what I expected from that. Because, to be honest, critics don't really care about why Halo Wars exists. I saw a lot of people say, why does Halo Wars exist? It exists because Halo fans love RTSs. A lot of Halo fans love RTSs, like myself, and it's an accessible way to play an RTS with Halo, Halo lore, Halo vehicles, Halo enemies. I mean, I love Halo Wars, so Halo Wars 2 is great. And honestly, I love Jason Shreier's stuff, but for him to say that they can't compete with Sony on exclusives is completely factually wrong. And to be honest, pretty much the only game that I've really played and enjoyed on the PlayStation 4 is Uncharted 4. And that's just me personally. That doesn't mean I'm going to go out and say Sony clearly can't compete with Microsoft on exclusives because I only enjoy Uncharted. And that's one thing that I saw him commenting about. He said, well, we can't really say that anyone has to buy an Xbox for the exclusives because you can play many of them on PC. That's fine, but what you don't understand is now Microsoft does not care if you buy an Xbox One. You don't have to buy an Xbox One. That's the point. That is the whole point. They're trying to get the games out there to the people. Quit worrying about the console and just get the games to the consumer. That's what people want. In the future, we will have all of our games on one device, hopefully, and we can just cater everything to one device. But for you to say Xbox is irrelevant because it's on PC as well is just it doesn't make sense to me, because Xbox isn't just a console anymore. Xbox is a brand. Xbox and Xbox console and Xbox Windows is pretty much the same thing. Xbox on Windows is pretty much the same thing. They're catering the infrastructure of Xbox Live all together on PC, Xbox, whatever. It doesn't matter. If you buy Gears 4 on PC, that doesn't matter. Microsoft's still fine with it. They want you to buy on whatever platform you want, and you continue to purchase from them on whatever platform you want. You're not forced into a decision. Uncharted 4, you have to buy a PlayStation 4 for that. If you want to play Gears 4, you can either buy a PC and upgrade a PC to be able to play it, or you can know, hey, I'm a console gamer, I'll buy an Xbox One or an Xbox One Scorpio, whatever. It's your choice. Console will never go away in the foreseeable future because consoles are something easy. You plug in, you know this game will work, you know what resolution usually it's going to run at, you know what you're getting. I mean, it's a stable platform. You know what you're getting. If you buy it on PC, you have to know what kind of PC hardware you have. You have to know how to set it up. Sometimes there's PC issues, like Greg Miller likes to call it PC woes. But I think it's a little crazy to say Microsoft can't compete with Sony on exclusives, because that's simply not true. I mean, sure, if you want to say Microsoft isn't as focused on Xbox hardware as Sony, sure, that's fine, that's fair. But Microsoft doesn't care. They want you to play on whatever platform you want, and that's been driven by Phil Spencer. Phil Spencer wants people to play on whatever they want. That's where Xbox Play Anywhere comes in. You buy it once, you play it on whatever platform you want. It doesn't matter. Just because Scorpio is coming out doesn't mean they're just going to say, oh, we're going to have Scorpio only titles. That wouldn't make sense for them, because they'd be limiting their games to a certain small subsect of an audience, and I think that is extremely, extremely dangerous. They would never do that, because you would never sell copies of the game. The last two things he says, I'll just lump these together because they're pretty much similar. He says, Twitter tip, if you say something negative about the Xbox, be prepared to block a lot of accounts with Scorpio symbols. And then his next one says, another Twitter tip, if you feel loyalty to a multi-billion-dollar corporation that doesn't pay you, it's time to log off for a while. So I think he's more directing this towards people who are way over the top, who have Scorpio symbols in their names. Some of them are okay, who have Scorpio names or Scorpio symbols in their names, but some of them I have absolutely noticed that they're freaking crazy, and they will literally just bash the other consoles. And I agree with him that people shouldn't just blindly follow a company, but you also shouldn't just blindly post things that aren't necessarily true. Maybe they're true for him. For instance, one of my friends, he is a heavy single player user, and he likes story and campaign, and he likes offline experiences. That's fine. I like campaigns too. I like stories too. But I also like multiplayer experiences, and Microsoft delivers on a lot of multiplayer experiences. Almost every single one of their games has multiplayer experiences, and that's what keeps me coming back personally. That's what my point here is. Everyone has something different that they're interested in. Just because there's not something that doesn't cater to you doesn't mean that they can't compete. I mean, I don't think it's a fair statement to say they can't compete with Sony on exclusives. I absolutely think they can and have competed with Sony on exclusives. Because, like I said, some people like me, I've only really enjoyed Uncharted 4 and Until Dawn. Those are pretty much the only two games I've truly enjoyed playing on PlayStation 4 that are exclusive. So, I know other people like other things, like Bloodborne and other things. And I love Halo 5 on Xbox. So, my point is, let's quit lumping things together. Quit making generalizations. Everyone is different. Just because we're different doesn't mean that something is bad. Just because I don't enjoy the same things you enjoy doesn't mean you should talk about that on Twitter and say that something is lesser as a result of that. I guess is what I'm going for. I just want the hate to stop, mainly. I mean, we all love games, so why can't we just all enjoy games? I understand competition, and I understand competition drives creativity. And I 100% agree with that. But to blindly hate on a certain company for unfounded reasons isn't really fair. I think Phil Spencer has done a phenomenal job since he has taken over as head of Xbox, and he has turned around that company. I mean, you have to think Rare was making Kinect games before Phil took over. And Phil took over, and we got Rare Replay, and now they're working on Sea of Thieves, which looks awesome. And it's another multiplayer experience. And I'm sure some people don't like that, but I do. And that's the point. Let's keep driving forward. I'm tired of everyone complaining. Let's not complain. Let's just appreciate and try to give feedback where we would like to improve on. For instance, I think it would be more impactful and more helpful if people would say, hey, Microsoft's portfolio is missing this and this. And I think that would be way more useful. Like, for instance, this would be a great criticism. Microsoft needs a open world action RPG or some kind of open world game to compete with something like Horizon or to compete with something like Uncharted. Uncharted is a beautiful open. It's not really open world, but it has big environments and it feels open world, and there's a way you can do that. And I think that's one piece that Microsoft's missing. I think Crackdown fills that a little bit, but not really. It's not really the same genre. And yeah, I think that Microsoft could definitely get more story-based games, but just because they don't have those things doesn't mean they can't compete. They have other games that are great as well. You may not agree. You may not think they're great, but many people do, including me. So, I just wanted to talk about that today, guys. Let's stop the hate. That's pretty much it. I'm tired of seeing the hate. So, that's it for now. Follow me on Twitter at DanIsDTM. On Xbox, just DTM. On PSN, I'm DTM3000 because you can't change your freaking tag. But yeah, just check me out if you're interested in playing some games. Just hit me up on Xbox Live or PSN, and I'll get back to you. And can't wait to play Horizon soon. Talk to you later, guys.